All right. Whew. After a little bit of a delay there, folks, we are live here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious. After the fact, if you're watching this in a replay, youtube.com/Perry Von Vicious. So glad to be here. So glad to hang out with all of you. And yeah, I've got some painting projects to work on here down in our frigid, cold basement. But that's New England in January. What can I say? But yeah, I got some cool stuff to work on. Some of this is follow up to prior projects that we'd been working on, and I'm excited to work on a few of these. I have a bunch of my little truck chassis here that are ready to go because I have, and I'm going to have to switch to the close-up cam here. I have 3D printed some of the old bodies for the Perry trucks. Now these are going to be a little hard to see because right now they're printed in a transparent resin. But this is a little convertible body with a little me coming out the roof. And then I do also have there's a truck body here that, again, it's going to be a little hard to see until we get the paint on it, with a little me coming out the window that you should be able to just make it out there. Hey, Bobby Gilbert in the house. That's right, Thursday Night Perry. We got some off night streams this week, man. All right, and so to work on these, I also have the parts for the Bobby Gilbert special, the dually chassis, and the cab that we designed the other day with our little engine and our little guy. And those are going to go with this Avenger body. And yeah, I'm excited to put that together. If the painting goes well on that and things dry quick, that may be glued up and ready to go by the end of stream. But for now, I have a few bits of what I need to shake up here. I have some my collection of acrylic paints has come to me in a very haphazard manner. It's very much been, you know, sort of just whatever I could find. I'm messing with the camera here. Your eyes are not deceiving you. So I've got a few different ones to try. I hadn't really taken a good look to see what I had in terms of metallics and those kinds of things. And I'm going to have to pull out a few more. I've got a big selection. I've got an entire drawer over here full of these little acrylic jars. So for now, what I want to do, I think I'm actually going to start on the chassis. That's going to be where we start on tonight. We're going to start in the cab here with our little driver and our little engine that we modeled, because I want those parts to dry so I can try to have this glued up by the end of stream. For now, though, what I'm going to try to do is just show you a little bit how this all goes together. I have this chassis, and it's got dually tires, the axles printed inside. We did a lot of the designing for this on stream. It's meant to mimic the sort of scale and shape of the old Matchbox superchargers, and you can sort of see that when they're next to each other. It's a very similar scale, very similar sizing, and that's what we're going for there, is taking a modern monster truck and turning it into sort of that throwback style. Okay, I can see already my greens are looking a little wonky, and that is because I have not turned off. I'm an absolute pro here, folks. I have not turned off the green screen effect, so I'm gonna take care of that now. There we go. Hey, I'm happy to serve as a distraction, Bobby. You know, it's something I take a lot of pride in, being able to be a good distraction. I'm sorry you received some bad news today. I'm sorry to hear that. We're also going to be painting these tires. I believe it should just show on camera here, the little PVV in the wheel there. We want that to be highlighted. And I have a trick for how I think we can get that done. I'm not totally sure if it's going to work, but I'm willing to give it a try. And then we're going to paint up these bodies. And then I have my shelf. This is for displaying Monster Jam minis, where these little shelves just slide in here, IKEA style, and they have, as you can see when I take it out and put it in the light, they have some crush cars kind of designed into it. And I'm excited. I'm going to take these and I'm going to paint these some different colors so that they look like the old crush cars back in the day, where they were all sort of different colors. They were just whatever they got at the junkyard. Nowadays, you know, Monster Jam, a lot of these companies, they paint them all one color. So like there's a red lane and a blue lane, and all the cars in those lanes sort of reflect that. And then if we have time, just shifting all my belongings around on the table here. If we have time, I do also still have my accessories that go with Toxie, and those need to be painted up. So once those are done, I can finally put him on a shelf for display, and that would be pretty cool. All right, so I'm always okay using dirty cups. I don't mind if they're clean. Really doesn't bother me at all. It's very rare that it's any kind of issue because that paint really doesn't like to mix back up. I do have a whole sleeve of clean cups, so I don't know. If I start to see any, you know what? We'll start with a cup. We'll start with a clean cup. I'm doing metallics. I don't want to contaminate anything. All right. These are, again, I've said it before, Dollar Tree stuff, you know? Dollar Tree sleeve of like, what is it? It doesn't even say how many. 36 cups for $1, and you know that's a pretty good deal. I'm okay with that, and they're exactly the right size. So, you know, this little bitty cup, you know, you're not wasting a lot of paper on a single paint job. All right, so I think what I want to do first on this, and it's cool that Bobby's here in the chat because he can help me pick out some colors. I think the steering wheel stays black for sure. I think the cab, the front of the cab here, stays black as well. The seat, I don't know. My heart says something like a maroon. I want it to, you know, we designed it to have that sort of cushion texture on it that may or may not appear in the light. If the seat's in sort of a maroon color, that to me reads very much as like old school, like truck seat from back in the day. The engine, of course, is going to go silver, and that's going to look really cool with those silver blowers coming out the sides of the truck. Yeah, that's going to look really cool when it's done. Before I get to painting it, though, I'm just going to slap it together one time so you can see how this works. There's the 2 holes here, and these 2 slots on the back. Those line up with the various pegs inside the Avenger body, and it very clearly, you can see it a little bit from the bottom if I do it. It's just gonna line up there, right like that. And then you can see we got that driver's head in there. We got the engine coming out, and you can just see in to see a little of the detail here. And then that whole thing seats right down. There's matching holes and slots on the chassis. All just comes right together just like that. And then boom, we've got us old school style Avenger, almost like an Avenger like mud truck. When you see it next to one of the Matchbox superchargers, it really reads like it would be the same toy set. I'm real happy with how that's turned out. So that's going to be sort of a glimpse of what the finished product is going to be like, but we got to paint these parts up. We got to get this looking good. And that includes painting little Jim Kohler on there, which is some very, very fine detail to hit. All right, I'm going to yeah, just change the camera angle there a little bit so we're not losing it too much when I pick these parts up. There we go. Now we're good and centered. All right, so first things first, I think the first part I want to do on this is probably the seat that he is in. I think I want to hit that first. So I'm going to break out. Got a couple different colors here. I've got a sort of an engine red. What's this one? You know what? I think that's going to be the one. It's one labeled Cardinal Crimson. I think is going to be a good seat color. And on that black plastic, I think it's going to read exactly the way I want it. Experience tells me that these may need multiple coats, and that's okay. All right, I am going to glance and see, do I have a clean brush ready to go here? I have a couple brushes that are my favorite. Again, I get all my brushes from the Dollar Tree. You know, obviously there are with some of these fine details. It would be nice to have some better brushes. And who knows? Maybe at some point I'll throw like some nice miniature painting brushes onto my throne list and see if someone wants to gift them to me for a future stream. That would be pretty cool. Now that a couple fans have started getting me stuff off that list, which is wild and unexpected and very, very, very cool. All right. It's because I'm not onto the metallic yet, I'm gonna find one of these had some reddish color in it. Yeah, there we go. I think that was the old Toxie orange from when I was painting Toxie up. But that's not going to seep back through, but I am comfortable with it if the red is a problem. So I'm just going to, only takes a little bitty bit. Not going to take much. All right. You know what, while before I get started on this, I'm going to throw on some gloves because, not because I don't want the paint on my fingers, you know, this is all paint that'll wash off easy enough, but mostly because it's cold down here and I can already feel my fingers getting cold. And these nitrile gloves actually are a fair bit warmer. Oh, that would be so cool to see what Jim Kohler would think of the modified version of his truck. That would be neat. You know, if I'd thought about it, I'd be doing some of that myself with all the shows I go to. I'm excited. I got a show tomorrow. Going to see the Monster Trucks Nitro Tour tomorrow in Springfield, Massachusetts. That should be a good time. Going to that with my old pal Herobotic, who is a regular here in the on the stream. All right, get a little of this on here. Oh yeah, that's making the. You know what? And I don't mind that being a bit of a thin coat on there too, because letting it stand out a little kind of gives us a bit of that texture that we worked on when we were modeling to make it look like cushions of an old bench seat. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. And a lot of this you really won't be able to see at all. So one of the kind of nice things, you don't have to actually exercise all that much care here, because really you're just giving the idea of the color that's there. You're giving hints of a color. You know, you want it. It's you would hear Bob Ross say it. It's indications of what's going on. You know, Adam Savage talks a lot about how when you're making these little items, when you're making a model, when you're making a toy or a replica or anything like that, it's not just a cartoon representation of what's happening. That's a different thing. You're doing some storytelling. Every object has a story. And, you know, in these old monster trucks, you know, they were going town to town. The last thing they were worried about was the upholstery. So having real clean seats is not terribly important on this model. I'll be interested to see who else may show up in the on the stream today, Bobby, because it's definitely an off day and an off time. So there's no telling. It might just be you in the chat, my friend. And that's all right. Happy to have you. All right. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. All right, and already, if you get a good look at that, that makes the driver stand out a fair bit more now that just the seat is colored in and not the driver. When we start hitting him with the green for his jumpsuit, that's going to look great. He'd probably steal it from me. He might. If he really likes it, give him my contact info. Let him know I can make one for him. That would be cool if an actual driver requested me make a throwback version of one of his trucks. I'd do that. I wonder if my new friend Rebecca Schnell, who drives for Bigfoot, would want an altered special version of one of the Bigfoot trucks she's driven. That would be neat. All right, so I'm going to leave that for now. I don't think we're going to need any more of that red. I think that kind of thin layer, if you get a good look at it, it's kind of a messy layer, but what that does is it really does let that sort of the texture that we created on those seats kind of shine through. There's a there's a fine line between getting the amount of coverage you want and overdoing it. And it's easy to cross that line, but hard to go back. I could get in there and try to wipe it down with a paper towel, or thin out a layer of paint and try to go over it. Certainly, if this was a bigger area and something that you'd be able to see a bit more, I would probably consider, doing some like washes on this, doing some weathering. I don't think that that's going to be necessary for this particular model. All right, our brush is clean. So now we get to try out. I used to have a silver paint marker that I use on some of my old monster truck models, and it has gone missing. I've spent a couple afternoons now digging through the shop trying to find it, and I have absolutely no idea where it's gone. Yeah, not in there. I got nothing. So I do, however, a bunch of these paints have just sort of come to me over time. This appears to be this says it's pearl metallic, so that's a possibility. We got here let's see, this is a Regency silver, double pigmented acrylic metallics. I think that's probably our best bet. I have this is a champagne gold, and then I have, this is something I'm going to try out later, a baroque pearl. I have all these different metallics out here because I'm going to use them on the little crush car shelves for the minis display. But for now, I just want this engine to look silver. I want it to look the way it should. But I think this silver is going to work. I am considering in the near future there's a liquid chrome paint pen that every model maker loves. You can open the back of them, and it's a very thin paint. You can pour it directly into an airbrush, and it works. That's also something I have to do soon. I haven't had my airbrush out in a long time, and I got to break the airbrush out at some point and start doing a bit more of that. Keeping an eye on the old alerts on the phone here. All right, let's get a look at. Ooh, okay, all right. We might be in action here. This might be pretty good. Let's get a look. Oh, okay, all right. Watching. I don't know if it's going to read on camera. Yeah. I can see a little bit of something working with that. Let's see. Okay, all right. I think once I have some mods I have to do on my first 3D filament printer. Why do you shake the paint? I shake the paint because the paints sit here a very long time, and they can start to separate. They can get a little gunky. The bottom will be thick, the top will be runny, but they sit down here in this cold basement for a very long time, not being used in between painting. So I like to get them good and shaken up. They all do say shake well on them, so I'm just following directions, I suppose. All right, let's see how this is going to look. I want this to be good on camera here. We're going to start on the blowers here and just see. Oh yeah, that's popping right away. Oh, this is going to look nice. All right, I'm feeling it now. Adam Savage always talks about how one of the greatest moments in making a model is getting the primer on and getting the first layer of paint on, because it's the moment that the shapes all sort of start to look like the thing they're supposed to be. And he is absolutely right. Yeah, this silver looks good. What I was saying before, some of these paints, they all come into my life in strange ways. I have an aunt who was an elementary school teacher her whole adult life, and a great teacher at that. the stories that we all heard from her students over the years, just incredible stuff. The kind of teacher you dream of having. And when she retired, she had a whole ton of stuff from her time teaching, because a lot of teachers are stuck kind of buying their own materials, which is a real failing on the part of our public education system. And so she had tons of art stuff. She had animal bones because she used them for science classes. All kinds of stuff like that my wife and I were lucky enough to snag from her when she was moving recently. She had to lighten her load a little bit for the place she was moving into. So she was looking to get rid of a lot of that stuff. So I got a lot of these acrylic bottles from her, and I believe this silver was from her collection. So this silver may be decades old from a elementary school, and now it's getting put to good use on a custom monster truck for Mr. Bobby Gilbert. So hey, life doesn't end at retirement, it would seem. Adam Savage blew up a cement truck once. He did a lot of crazy stuff for that show. Yeah, Mythbusters was a wild show. I actually, as much as I loved Mythbusters, and it was a great show, as someone who's, a skeptic who was raised very much in the world of critical thinking and the scientific method, like that was my life. My dad's a mechanical engineer and loved teaching science to my brother and I. For someone who was raised deep in that world, Mythbusters was a fantastic show to watch. I did get to see Mythbusters live one time out at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with my good friend from high school, Patrick, who had just started college there at the time. I went out to visit him, and we saw the Mythbusters live. It was actually 2 days back to back. We saw the Mythbusters one day, and then the next day we went to see Green Day and My Chemical Romance. Great couple of days. But they were delightful, and I love Adam Savage's YouTube channel now. Like, as much as I liked Mythbusters, I love his YouTube channel. He does some really great model making there. A lot of cool builds. Some robotic stuff. He recently got into 3D printing. Just great stuff. All right. So I think we're going to call that the first coat for the engine. And that's looking pretty good. That's popping. I like that. All right, got some paint chips happening there. I'm going to go hang this in front of the space heater, let it get good and dry before we come back to look at second coats and possibly doing some painting on the driver, depending. This is you always want to take these little steps at a time. You want to go little bit by little bit, not rush anything, because that's when you finish one part, it looks great, and then you mess it up because you started the next one. All right, I'm going to go hang this in front of the old space heater. I'll tell you what, putting together that little bitty rack where I can hang parts while they're drying, game changer. Just great. All right. So while I still have the silver out here, I think I'm going to try to take on a little bit of these. Oh, you know what? I'm not. Well, yeah. Might as well do it while the silver's out. I'm just going to hit a couple of these with this, and then I want to let that dry and then do a thin coat with like a very watered down primary color, a red or a blue, to see if we can sort of get like a metallic thing going. So I'm literally just going to come on here. I'm going to start hitting this first car, and boy, that doesn't even look like it changes on camera all that much, because this is printed on sort of a like a gunmetal silver filament that I have. I just want a nice thin layer, just enough to give us a bit of that metallic reflection on here. The detail on these little bitty cars is really good considering. You know, filament printers are not necessarily meant to print miniatures and to give you all that detail. But, you know, you get your settings dialed in and you design your model carefully and they're really cool. All right, so that's about where that's going to be on that one. But what I want to do before I go on is I'm going to take just a little bit of that same red we were using, just a little. I'm just going to put like one drop down into this silver and see if we can sort of make a metallic red. Yeah, there we go. Just pull it right off the bottle like that. I'm going to see if it reads as a metallic red, because if it does, that might be the way forward for us painting these. Oh, it might even take more than that. That's kind of a purple now, because it's, yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's see. Let's do the next car on there in this sort of metallic purple I made. See how that looks. Okay, yeah, that's given me a different vibe than the car before it. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool actually. I don't know, is that, yeah, oh, it reads real nice on camera. All right. That's a big win. I never know how these are going to look on camera because I keep the lights on the work surface here real bright, and that can wash out my my less than stellar little webcam. But this is actually looking pretty good. Now this whole piece, when it's done, is going to need a clear coat because I'm going to have, you know, little Monster Jam minis and Micro Machines monster trucks from the 90s sitting on these. And I don't want, you know, over time you get plastics kind of sitting on each other. The paint can kind of get stuck to them. I don't want any of that. I want them to behave. So this is definitely getting a clear coat when all is said and done. All right, yeah, that looks pretty good. That gives us a little variety in the cars there. And I bet once it dries, it's going to have that nice metallic sheen. It's a little hard to tell while it's still wet. All right, let me see. How much of this do I have in here? Do I have enough to hit one more car with it? Yeah, not really. All right. We'll put that in the water. Set this cup out of the way. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take this shelf now, and I'm going to hang this in front of the heat to let it dry so that we can see how that looks once it's... You can already see in the reflection the plain silver versus the original gunmetal versus the silver with a little bit of red in it. We're getting some good variety there, and I think that's going to be what we're going to do. Is we're going to come back, we're going to hit a couple of them silver, we're going to hit a couple of them silver and red, and then maybe do like a silver and blue or something. We'll kind of mix them in so that it's all different colors. I think that's going to be the move. And who knows, maybe we'll get a little wild. We'll try like the pearl on one of them or something. You know, we'll do like a gold car mixed in there somewhere. We'll mix them all up because I got a few shelves of them to do. But for now, I'm going to let this one dry so we can get a better look at it. And then we're going to come back because we got to paint the tires and rims on this chassis. What did they blow up? I just saw that, Bobby. They didn't blow anything up when we saw them. They were more or less doing a talk. You know, it was before they had ever done their MythBusters live tour, so it was sort of a different era for them. Since then, I have seen Adam Savage live a couple other times. I saw him host an evening with Penn and Teller in San Francisco for San Francisco Sketch Fest in, gosh, it would have been like 2015 maybe. Gosh, was that 10 years ago? That's crazy. All right, I got a whole pile of greens here, and we got to find one that more or less matches the vibe of our Avenger here. So let's see. We got this might be a little too dark. I think it's close. On camera it certainly reads pretty close. Which one? What's that? That's just a grass green is what it says. I got a Kelly green, which is might work. What else we got here? I have one that's just labeled green that's definitely too light. Way too light. Yeah, that's not going to be, although that's a metallic paint. Maybe we want it to be metallic. Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. I think that is going to be the move. And if I recall correctly, the green rims on Avenger don't totally match the truck. Yeah, I think we're going to go with the metallic. I think that's the way to go. Maybe I'll mix in a little bit of this regular, the Kelly green, because that's going to make it just a hair darker. I think that's going to be the move. We're gonna mix them up a little bit. Yeah, I think metallic's the way to go too. I didn't realize it was metallic till I got a better look at it, but that's cool. I mean, if I wanted to get real fancy, what I could do is I could mix in a little glow in the dark green in there and see how that goes. But I haven't messed with these, so I don't really know how well they work. I don't want to mess it up. I might save that for something for Toxie. I know he's got one of his extra bits is supposed to be glow in the dark, so that might be what we do there. All right, we're gonna shake this up. But yeah, man, I am psyched for Monster Trucks in Springfield tomorrow. Meeting up with Herobotic and his kiddo. Gonna vlog the whole thing. It'll be my first vlog of 2025. We'll outline the different shows that I went to this January. Wrestling shows I was in attendance at, helping out at, and this one monster truck show. I think that'll be a good episode. And then February kicks in, and I'm back to bookings. So I gotta get flying on some of my toys, like these the Fisher Price Little People Perrys. Those gotta get finished up and assembled so I can get selling them. And the PVV version 2 figure, gotta get that ready to go. All right, that should be about mixed up enough. Let's get a look at exactly what kind of color this is. Okay, yeah, you know what? That's going to work. I'm going to put a fair bit in there because I think that's actually looking pretty good. Now, it's definitely a bit lighter than the Avenger that's here, but, you know, the Avenger truck, not all the greens match on Avenger all the time. I'm going to give it a little bit of this Kelly green just to darken it in a little. I don't want to dampen that metallic look that the paint has. I found this the other day that I have kicking around. This was from my aunt, the teacher. I have some glitter gold paint. I don't know. I don't know if that one's going to make it onto any of these, but it is cool. All right. We're just going to give just a little squirt of this. All right, it's only moderately darker than the other greens, so I don't think it's actually gonna make that big a difference necessarily. And let's see, I want a nice thin brush to get in there with. Let's see what we got here. Well, yeah, that one might work. So this is one of the nice things you can do is you can take your brush before there's any paint on it and just try it out and see how it's gonna play. Yeah. I think that's gonna work. Get a look. Is this other brush gonna be? Nah, I think this is just as good. And you can tell. I don't know if it'll show on camera. I actually I cut a bunch of the bristles off on this to make it thinner than it already was. So it's definitely thinner than it would have been. Oh, and some of them are just falling out now when I pull on it. That's I have mixed feelings on that. Yeah, you know what? That brush is trash. Not using that one. Go to this one. This one looks pretty good. Nice stiff bristles. All right, that's good. All right, we're gonna mix these two up here. Oh yeah, okay. I see it. I see it being metallic in there. It's always hard to tell how well it's reading, but it's definitely working. see. Oh man, I must interview you a week before your first match of 2025. I'm gonna have to check my schedule. It may end up being a little bit complicated to make that work. I'm traveling the week before. I have a trip coming up to, of all places, Savannah, Georgia. Not a place that was necessarily on any of my travel bucket lists. All right, so I want to try something on this first wheel here. Just a silly little idea that I have, where I want to take a bit of paper towel here. I'll wind it up nice and tight because I want to try a little put the paint on, pull it away thing. Why am I going to Savannah? My wife has a work thing down there, and we decided that it'd be a nice little trip somewhere weird. They have a cool swamp there that my wife wants to go hike in, and they have some kind of interesting museums that I'd like to see. They have one museum that's a combination. It's the history of Satanism in the South, and that's half of the museum. The other half is a history of carnival artifacts. So yeah, seems like an interesting thing to check out. All right, so I'm just going in here right now, giving us that green on the inside. It's going to definitely take a couple coats because we're putting a light color onto a dark filament here. But it's easier to paint these rims than it is to try to paint the actual tires. All right, and then right up on the edge, I can just roll the brush around there. This is an advanced technique to get the very edge. Just very carefully, not scraping the brush, but rolling it. Yeah, that's giving me a good little edge up top there. Come back around these sides a little bit. All right. What I want to do, I just want to see what this does. I can go back in and fix it if I don't like it, but I just want to get inside there and give a little wipe away and see. Yeah, it's not really doing the effect I was hoping for. All right, so we're just not going to do that then. All right, let's get back in and get our coverage back because we do want this first layer to kind of just give us a thin coating everywhere on the inside. Once that dries up, it's going to make the second coat stick a lot easier. This could take more than 2 coats, but we're getting a little bit. Ooh, that reads as very well covered on camera. That looks real nice. All right. Give the next tire the same treatment. And this is a coat where I can be a little bit sloppy on the inside. I just don't want to get out of the tire because it's a little harder to wipe away than it is to put on. And since I'm planning a second coat anyway, not really super stressed about it looking perfect on this first pass. I just want a fair bit of coverage so that when we go to do that second coat, the second coat has something to stick to. Because paint loves to stick to paint. It doesn't always love to stick to plastic. This is something I was not keenly aware of until I started 3D printing and had to do a lot more of this kind of stuff. All right, yeah, that's looking pretty good. It's just getting our rim there all the way around. All right, we're off to a very solid start there. Yeah, this is promising. All right. Again, until we get to that second coat, it's hard to say how effective or ineffective this really is. You know? These paints, these acrylics have always worked well for me on 3D printed PLA and resins, so I don't suspect we're going to run into any real problems here. There we go. Actually, I can get a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right. Last one, and then we can let this dry up, and we're going to hop back onto the cab portion. Then we're going to come back. We got to do another coat on these, and then we got to try to get those little PVV letters colored in. Still not sure if those read on camera, but there is some little lettering there. Yeah, there it is, PVV. We got to see if we can get some white in there. I've got a cool trick for how to do it. I have no idea if it's going to work well. Won't know till I try it. And the nice part is, this is something that I always try to remind myself, even when I'm making these to sell, is that if I mess it up, I can always go back over it, do it again, or if it's messed up beyond repair, I can print another one. The amount of filament that goes into one of these chassis is not expensive. It is a time suck. The print time is not short by any stretch of the imagination. But it's not the end of the world. And as Kev Talbot likes to say about his RC vehicles, it's just a toy. I'm not in it, you know? All right. We have pretty good coverage all around there. So I think what I want to do, thankfully I can just set that there and the paint doesn't smear anything. Get a lot of this off, leave this cup here. Put that in the water. I'm going to switch brushes real quick because I want to try my little method to see about getting that PVV colored in. There we go. Brush is good. Grab me a chunk of paper towel here because I am going to need it this time. Nice clean paper towel. Then I need white. Let's see here. Where is my... There we go. There's some white. Just some plain old white paint. I'm going to shake that, grab a fresh cup because I don't want this contaminated. Some of the paints, it doesn't matter so much. Some of the paints, it's a big plus to actually get them a little bit mixed up. You know, you get some color blends. It can look really cool. But in this particular instance, I want this to be white. I want it to be bright. I'm shaking it really well because I want this to be fairly thick paint. I don't want this to be runny. And you'll see why. So the PVV lettering on the side of these tires is indented. It is set in rather than set out. So what I want to do is force some paint down in there and then just wipe the paint away from the surface. And I think that's going to leave us some really crisp lettering. That's what I hope anyway. All right. We got some old chunky bits here. Let's grab a bit of messy paper towel, wipe that away. We don't want any chunks in here. Yeah, you can see them on the table. This is again, that's one of the side effects of when this stuff sits for a while. You get chunks on the lid. Now, you're not going to be able to see that paint very much because it is white on a very bright set of lights here. I've got a good feeling on how this is going to look when it's all done. All right, so for right now, I'm just going to try to see if I can get this lettering to behave the way I want it to. I don't want too much paint at first. I want to be kind of judicious about this. So it's going to look a little messy. That's because I'm forcing the paint and the bristles down into those letters. Right? I think we got some good internal coverage there. So before it has a chance to dry, get up here with my paper towel and start wiping away. Okay. It's not bad. You can definitely see it a bit more. It's a little bit messy, but I can fix that with some black paint if I need to. It's actually going to try to get a little bit more coverage down in there. Just right in there. And this time I'm actually just going to try wiping away with my glove a little bit. So I seem to do it pretty cleanly. Yeah, that actually looks pretty darn good. You can certainly read the letters now, although it is having a little trouble focusing. But that PVP is looking pretty clear. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay. I'm going to hit the other one on the same tire. And then I'm going to let this dry, and we can see how it looks when it's dried. But you can see that lettering. It's coming through. All right. All right. Got us some pretty solid coverage there. I'm just going to come back right over the top and just wipe away what I can. I am finding that wetting the paper towel a little bit seems to help. All right. So for now, I'm going to say that's fairly successful, and I can clean up those smudges with a little bit of black paint later, which is probably exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, I like that. All right, I'm going to set this over there to dry in front of the heater so that we can come back and give it another shot. We're going to jump back into painting that cab a bit more. All right. It's looking pretty good. Okay. So these bits on the cab are definitely dry, and they're looking good. Boy, I don't even know if that silver is going to need a second coat. It's looking vibrant. Reads great on camera too. Holy cow. So in that case, we're going to paint our little Jim Kohler. Now this is where it's going to get a little tricky. I'm going to use the same green that we mixed up for the tires, because it was behaving really well. I like the way it was. I like the way it worked. Clean off one of these brushes here. Okay. Now this is where it gets tricky. This is the part that's nerve-wracking, because this little Jim Kohler is going to be a little persnickety to paint. I'm just responding to a message real quick here. All right, back at it here. All right, we're gonna get into this paint, and I'm only bringing up just a teensy little bit. I don't know if it'll. Yeah, you can just see just a little bit there, because I don't want to go overboard on it. Just getting him his green. He's probably going to take 2 coats, just like the tires, because a light color on a dark color is a little bit hard to make look good. All right. Hit his helmet here. Talking a little bit less while I paint him, because there's a lot of detail to work on. Don't want to mess him up. All right, we're calling that thin little layer that's on him there. We're calling that layer 1. But boy, that having our little green guy there, I am going to try to get a little bit of the orange on his shoulders, like his fire suit has in real life. We'll see if it ends up working out. But I think that's pretty good for a first pass on old Jim. All right, and since we're jumping project to project, we're going to grab those the little crush car shelf back from there, because that ought to be dry by now. We can see how that's behaving. See, Bobby says, I just thought of something absolutely insane. Try me. What do you got? All right, yeah, this is, now that it's dried, I think we can see that sort of pink color is pretty faint. The silver is definitely noticeably different from the gunmetal. So I think what I want to do is, I am going to do a few in the silver. I'm going to do a few with the red. We'll do a couple with, like, maybe we'll do like 1 or 2 with the gold, and then I'm going to leave some of them the original color, because it has its own sort of sheen. And then we'll have some variety down the row here. And then on some of the other rows, maybe we'll throw in like a blue, some other colors. Hanging this in front of the space heater is maybe warped it just a tiny bit. That's okay. I'm not really worried about that too bad. It is just an early prototype, and I'm only using the space heater to dry these because I'm doing it on stream and I want it to be a little bit quicker. All right, we're going to set this green off to the side. As these paints start to dry out a little bit in between coats, I will need to mix them again. That's really not a big problem. Not at all. All right. So let's see. Is any of this? Yeah, we're gonna have to remix this entirely. All right, and that's all right. Let's grab our silver. This one? No, that's pearl. This is pearl. That's gold. Where on earth did I put the silver? Oh, here it is. It's way up on the wrong end of the thing. Let's see. So Bobby says, I have a Dale Earnhardt Jr. diecast with a broken wheel, and all I can think about is the body on a monster truck chassis. As you've seen, not undoable. If I was to model the chassis up myself, I would definitely need access to the toy so that I could get all the exact measurements. You've seen the process here on the channel a bit. All right, let's get some of that silver in there. A fair bit this time. I went very light previously. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to try to go a little bit random on which ones I do in which color, because I don't want like a pattern. I want it to seem, like it was in the 80s where they grabbed a bunch of cars from the junkyard and, oh yeah, we'll put this one here, we'll put that one there, and we just got to get them off the trailer and onto the track. That's really the kind of look we're going for here. But these cheapo acrylic metallic paints are really doing the trick. Since these are going to be underneath toys, so you won't see them that clearly. And they'll be on a shelf, so really this front is kind of what you'll be looking at. You won't really get the overhead view, but I'm a completionist, so I'm kind of giving them all a firm coat here. I'm going to do 2 silvers in a row, like right next to each other. That way we're not alternating every single time. Like I said, I want the order of the colors here to look very random, because that's in the 80s they weren't dressing the tracks to be pretty, and I'm going for that retro look. I suppose if I do think I could make these to sell to collectors who wanted to display their minis. I suppose if someone wanted, I could go very classic Monster Jam with the cars here, and I could, do one shelf where all the cars are just a sort of a matte red, and then we could do on the next shelf they're all like a matte blue. You have your red lane and your blue lane. All right, there's those two, and I'm gonna do like the next one, just past one here. That way, again, I don't want them repeating. I don't want there to be like a specific order. I want it to feel very random. If you watch the video of me modeling this, I also put the cars in here in sort of random ways where they're tilted one side or the other. They're really close to each other. There's a little gap. There's 2 of the same ones next to each other, then a different one. They're facing different directions. I tried to randomize it as best I could. All right, that looks pretty good. I'll set that down. And now I'm going to take this silver and we're going to do the same trick as before. Put a little blob of the red in there. Yeah, find it for sure. Let me know. And I'm working on a few different chassis styles. Right now these are the Matchbox superchargers. I'm going to try to get some that look a little bit more like the Bigfoot Champions, which were the Hot Wheels in the early 90s. And then I may come up with some that look like a little bit more modern. All right, that's going to probably be good on that red. I don't want to go too heavy with that. All right, let's get that mixed up down on the cup. Oh yeah, little silver crimson. That's looking cool. It does get to be a little purpley pink, but that's when you have that sort of gray silver color mixing with the red, that's going to happen. All right, so let's come in here and give a couple in this color. I'm thinking maybe like 2 on this one, and then we'll do some different colors. So let's put one like maybe this guy. Ooh, and he's even going to be a slightly different shade than that one I did before. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I went a little deeper with the color that time. I like it. Again, that's just going to add some variety, and that's what I'm looking for. I want it to look a little messy, a little random. They're junk cars. They're from the junkyard. You know, this does go back to what I was saying about what Adam Savage says about making these things is, you know, you're telling a story. And the story here is monster truck shows in the 80s. You know, they were put on for as little money as you could, while still creating a good spectacle that would make people have a good time and keep it safe. You know, that was about it. All right, and I'm going to do the one way on the very end here. Yeah, this last one here is going to be the other one. Got to tell you, I'm exceedingly happy with the detail I can get from my filament printer when I make these little minis, because that is not what they're designed to do. You know, I've been very careful with my settings. I've been very careful with the machines themselves and how they are physically set up, and as a result, I get pretty cool results like this. Yeah, that's true. That's it does give you the excuse to have that. All right. So I'm going to leave this sort of crimson one here. I'm going to throw that in the water, and now I want to do like a blue, like a metallic blue. So let me see what messy cups do. There's one that had some kind of bluish in it, so I don't mind if it gets a little mixed up. So I'm going to take instead of the silver this time, I think what I want to do, I'm going to take some of this metallic pearl. I'm going to take some metallic pearl, and then we're going to mix a little blue into it. Let me grab like a nice cobalt blue here. We're going to do a little mixing up here. You know, this is what's nice, because this is for me, because this is for my own personal display. I can mess around with it, you know. I can try a bunch of things out, and then when I want to make these for others, I can just take the best of the best, what worked the best, and I can recreate that. All right. Ooh, this one's hard to open. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm getting a little hint of what this looks like when it dries, and it's kind of crazy looking. All right, let's oh wow, okay. Yeah, this pearl is something else. Kind of cool. I don't know if it's going to read on camera all that's going on in there, but it's kind of wacky looking. I like it. All right, mix up my blue here. I also like this gray as the base color for these plates, because it looks like the old Thunder Nationals when they would be like where I'm going tomorrow at the Springfield Civic Center, where it was just it was just the concrete floor. You know, you get that a little bit now with the Hot Wheels Monster Trucks tour, but you know, back then with the just plain junk cars, unpainted, just set in a row on a concrete floor. Those Thunder National shows, man. Black Stallion, Excalibur, Taurus, Liquidator, UFO, all those trucks coming to town. The lesser known trucks. You wouldn't get a Gravedigger. You wouldn't get a Bigfoot. None of those guys would be on those shows. But you'd get, you'd get Thrasher, or you'd get Above and Beyond. All right, let's mix this up and see what this does with that. Oh, that pearl, that sort of opalescent metallic pearl. Oh wow. Okay, you can see the reflection going on in that blue. Oh, that is wild. Oh, I'm gonna be painting some trucks in this color. This is a whole new. I think I've talked on some of these streams about how I never really put enough thought into like my color choices for some of these projects, because the mere fact that I could make them was enough to make me pretty excited. But I think this is the year where I'm going to get into some weird. Oh wow, yeah, this looks really cool. I hope it reads on camera how cool this is going to look. The toy was not on those shows. This was after the toy would have been competing. This would have been like, probably like 93, 94, somewhere in there. Maybe 92. I would have been in early mid-elementary school. This would have been around the same time that in the summer the Penda Points series would have been airing. Yeah, oh, this blue is really cool, the way it's reflecting. Oh, that's going to be neat when that dries up, I bet. I'm very excited to see what this does. And again, the coverage I can get here, I can be pretty sloppy with it because these cars are supposed to be junk. So if there's a bit of unpainted gunmetal color that pokes through, it's going to look like the paint was scraped off the metal of the car. That becomes part of the story of these junk cars. All right, we're going to do one more blue kind of in the middle here, and then I want to try out like the gold on one. Just make one gold. Why not, right? It's Bob Ross says, this is your world. You can do what you want with it. This is my stack of Crush cars. They can be whatever color I want. Yeah, this pearl is neat. I did earlier this week. I popped through the craft section of my local unnamed big box store, and they had some very cool paint variants that are exceedingly affordable considering how little paint I go through at a time. And yeah, I'm excited to try some new things this year with paint colors on my models and on my toys that I sell. There's always going to be the old standbys. The Perry figures are mostly going to be painted to look like Perry. But I would love to do something in the style of like a Sofubi figure and get some cool color waves done with some airbrushing. That would be pretty cool. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, and that's going to be the two blues. I'm gonna leave that mixed because that looks neat. And now I do want to do one more. I'm gonna hit one of these playing cars here. Probably this one. I think I'm gonna hit gold. I do have, now that you mentioned the toy, I did do a 3D printed replica of the toy in the scale of the Matchbox Superchargers. But because he ran a different type of tire, he didn't run dualies, he didn't run regular tractor tires, and he didn't run the Tundras. He had these really big, like, construction type tires that he ran that were really oddly shaped and oddly scaled. I had to do some really interesting math to figure out what the dimensions would be on that to reflect the dimensions used on the Matchbox Superchargers. And the final product was out there. It was weird. It was cool. And so I do have like a mostly unpainted prototype of the toy that's on my shelf up in my collection. Someday I'll go over all the different weird little models that I've made because I had a few. All right, this was yellow before, and I think I'm okay with that for the gold. It's chipping away. I don't want chunks in there. Let's break away what I can. There we go. And then where's the gold hiding? There's our gold. Champagne gold. Who knows? What do you think? Champagne gold. Should I mix in some of the glitter gold? Should I mix in the glitter? All right, you sent me your monster trucks show schedule. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that afterwards for sure. I should mix in the glitter, you think? Yeah, why not? Why not have one glittery car in the middle of all this? Maybe two. Maybe I'll hit both of the gunmetal grays. I don't know. Can't hurt, right? Or maybe I'll do one regular gold, one gold with glitter. Mix it up. Oh wow. This is one that came to me from the aunt who was a teacher. Still has shrink wrap on the lid. It's never been opened. I wonder what year this was sold. If there's a year on it anywhere. Half of it's in French. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't see a year on it anywhere, so I have no idea when this was even made. Huh. All right. Well, let's see if I can get that shrink wrap off there while wearing gloves. Strongbat, how do you type with boxing gloves on? There we go. Well, at least we know this is all fresh. Ooh, so clean. Nothing around the rim there. Nothing around the lip of the bottle. Love that. All right, let's. Ooh, this is a messy little gold. It is kind of ugly. Ooh, and stinky. Yikes. Maybe I need to shake it up more. It's a mess. Holy cow. That is. I don't know. That is gross. All right, hang on. I'm gonna grab a popsicle stick to mix this up with. Oh, jeez. What did I get myself into with this one? Let's see if this helps it along a little. Ugh. I don't know if that's better. Does this stuff go bad? Do acrylic paints go bad? Well, maybe we'll give it a shot. I don't know. Definitely going to put some of this glitter stuff in here because, yeah, Bobby says, I hate it. You know, it is a junk car, though, from the junkyard, so maybe looking bad is part of the deal. Let's see if the glitter fixes it up a little. If it still looks terrible, I can chuck the cup and do something else. Ooh, even this is like runny and a little bit weird. It is a better color, though. Runny. That's why we shake the paints. I wonder if shaking this up more would fix it. It was unopened, though. Unopened for who knows how long. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, it's definitely a little more interesting with that glitter stuff. Whoa. Are we sure this is even acrylic? Why does it stink so bad? Yeah, it says just regular old acrylic. Woof. Gross. I don't know. Before I put it on the model, I'm gonna put it down on a little white surface here so we can just see. I'm not even gonna put it on the brush. I'm gonna do it with yeah, I don't know if I would consider. Ooh, it is sparkly with that glitter in there, though. I don't know. I might just mix some of that glitter into something else. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know, and I don't think putting it over the gray is going to do it any favors. Yeah, I think we're going to call that a lost cause. No, no, this no. Yikes. Oof, and it stinks. Glad I got space heaters running. They kind of blew it away from me. Yowza. All right, we'll do a different color for those cars. Let's see here. Sort of have some blues. We got some reds. We got some silvers. Maybe like a black. Maybe we do them black. Well, the tires on the trucks are often black, so there won't be a good contrast there. What's a good third color to mix in that you see on cars? I want it to feel natural. Let's see. Could do maybe like a yellow, maybe. You know what? We'll do yellow with a little bit of the glitter in it. Maybe that's the move. You know what? That's exactly what we're gonna do here. Grab a fresh cup. And we're gonna not ever think about that gold paint again, because that was a catastrophe. Holy moly. All right. Got this glitter paint, which is a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. In the name of putting glitter on a craft project, who am I to argue? It knows exactly what it's doing. And then I got a few yellows to choose from here. I have a lemon custard. That sounds yummy. King's Gold I use for my hair. I've got sort of like a fleshy yellow ochre, and then just a plain yellow. I think I'm going with this lemon custard. After the stink of that weird gold, I need something that sounds yummy. I hope if this paint doesn't work, then I'm saying screw it and I'm going back to another project. All right, let's get a look here. All right, promising. Clean top here. All right, and it's coming out actually looking like paint. Thank goodness. All right, we got that glitter and the yellow together. Oh yeah, that's gonna do the trick, and I think it'll be a little bit muted on this this gray plastic, and that'll be nice. I think I'm actually gonna hit both of those cars with this. We'll see how that does. It's certainly noticeable. Might need 2 coats because it's a little light. Although I don't know how many coats I'm really willing to do on a portion of a shelf that'll be hard to see. Who am I kidding? I'm a perfectionist and a completist. Gotta know who you are in this life. And I'm nothing if not a completist. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, okay, I can see the glitter in there a little bit. I don't know if it'll show on camera, but yeah, we got it going on in there. Yeah. I don't know if a stream like this wins any kind of awards for being exciting, but I don't think that's necessarily the goal. You know, there's a band Johnny Torres has turned me on to called Hyper. It's spelled like hyper, but with a B instead of a P. It is a girl-fronted sort of pop-punky type band, and they have a lyric in their song "Happy" that just says, "I want to be happy and mundane." I love that. Because I think some of the least happy I've ever been in my life has been because I'm driven and I have goals and aspirations and stupid things like that. All right, I think I think we're going to call that a row of crush cars. That's looking pretty good. The only, well, you know what? I want to add one more little bit of variation in there. And I think the way to do it is going to be with a little bit of black. Maybe some black with some of that pearl mixed into it, I think is going to be what I'm thinking of. Let's see what that does. As long as we're experimenting with crazy colors here. And I've got these two first cars that I painted that are a little bit plain looking. So I don't mind painting over one of them. Probably this one on the end. I'll repaint the silver one on the... Well, this one's a little faint. I don't know. Hard choice. I think I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do the sort of faint red one there. All right. Let's flake away the extra here. Get a little bit of black in there. Not much. And where did that pearl go? Because that stuff was awesome. Pearl stuff looks really cool. Let's see, Bobby says, I sent you a few pictures of Dale Earnhardt Jr. car I have with the broken wheel. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look because it's possible I might be able to do something with that. Can work out some kind of trade or something. All right, let's get some of that pearl in there. And I think what we're going to end up with is a very dark but reflective, weird color here. All right, either one of these brushes will do. I may have to switch my water out soon. It's getting pretty dirty, but as long as I'm going into a black color, it won't make a big difference here. All right. Yeah, okay, the black is staying strong, and I think the pearl is going to just give it a sheen. Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing. Again, I have no idea how well this does or doesn't read on camera. Yeah, there it is. You can see the sort of the sheen that I'm getting from that black now. It's supposed to be a matte black, but it's not anymore. All right. Let's hit this one car with this, and then we'll hang this guy up to dry. Yeah. Now I'm going to keep the coat really light here. That way maybe a little of that sort of purple that's there will keep shining through. So I'm just going to go over it kind of sloppy. And then I think I'm going to come back over it with a paper towel, wipe some of it away. Sort of a weathering technique. All right, let's see. Yeah, I just want to do it so it's only those low points keep the black. The rest is going to shine through there. Yeah, that actually kind of gives it like a weird beat up bronzy color. I like that. And from far away, when you have all the cars there, it stands out. It's different from the rest. Okay, that worked out really well. I like that. All right, I'm going to go set this in front of the space heater. We're going to get back to working on the truck for Bobby. All right, we're going to take another look at Jim here. And you can see as he dries, that color gets a little bit more faint. It reads pretty strong on camera, but it's pretty faint in person. So I am going to give him another coat. And that paint is still good there. So I'm just going to wash that brush off. I do have a jar of clean water here, so I'm going to open that up so I can continue getting my brush a little bit cleaner. It was just in some black paint, so I don't want to mix that into that nice green. You will notice the red on the seats is pretty faint, and some of the black comes through on it, but that's good. I think it looks more like a seat cushion that way. All right. Get back into our green here. Let's just continue to bring a little bit of life to old Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Kohler here. Michigan's own. The wild man, the pool diver himself, Jim Kohler. All right, he's looking pretty good here. I want to get his arms just a little bit more. I want those to stand out. It's possible they won't be visible at all. A lot of this, again, I can't stress enough, there's a fair bit of this that you just won't be able to see. But I'll know it's there, and you'll know it's there. Okay, set that brush there for a sec. And I am thinking I want to give another coat of silver just on the blowers here where they're going to come out of the truck. So let's see. I know I had silver, but I don't believe I do anymore. I think I mixed it up with something else. So we're gonna get a fresh cup of silver here to work with, and then we'll be back to working on the actual truck part, getting the whites of those letters done. Is this it? No, this is pearl. So this must be silver. There it is. Busy weekend this weekend, hitting up the monster trucks tomorrow, hitting up Limitless Wrestling in Yarmouth, Maine on Saturday. And then Sunday I'll be back here again working on toys. Probably not streaming on Sunday. I have a fairly not stream. I don't think great for the stream project I got to work on. I have to. I'm installing a CR Touch on my Ender 3, my first Ender 3. A CR Touch is a automatic bed leveler, or ABL. A little bit of a misnomer. It actually creates a mesh of your print bed, which helps with leveling, but you need to get it pretty close to level beforehand, and it can be tricky on those machines. The springs are not great, so you end up doing it's a lot of sort of chasing your own tail. All right, let's as the amazing Bobby Fingers on YouTube says, we got to give this a lick of paint. If you've never seen the amazing videos made by Bobby Fingers, he is maybe the greatest creator on YouTube currently, doing some very, very cool stuff that seemingly is just videos of him making dioramas. But it's so much more than that. A little bit hard to describe. What seems like videos of him making dioramas is actually massive productions with musical numbers and special guests, and he has to travel all over the world to do the stuff he does. Yeah, just really interesting. Carefully written. He has side projects that comes from it, including some he has an erotic audiobook that was inspired by one of the episodes. He has I believe, one singular episode podcast that was inspired by one episode. Yeah, just a really interesting guy putting out some really interesting work that's really high quality. Like, if I could make minis the way he does, boy, I would. All right. We got Jimmy looking good. We got that engine looking good. I believe this interior piece is now finished. I'm going to hang this up to dry, and we're going to grab that chassis. Bobby, I see your comment where you say, "What? Is that in reference to my description of Bobby Fingers?" Because Bobby Fingers is the real deal, man. Really cool stuff. I'm a huge fan. All right, let's get that out of the way. There's the green we were working with. We're going to clean our brush off. One of the nice things of working with these acrylics is you can clean everything with just water. Oh yeah, the audiobook part. You have to watch the episode to really understand why. But he was making he made a diorama of the time in the 90s when Fabio, the famous model who was on the cover of a lot of erotic novels in the 90s and 80s, was the special guest for the opening of a new roller coaster at a Busch Gardens. This was a very famous event that occurred where he went on the ride, and at the end, his face is all messed up and bloody, and it's because as the coaster was going, a goose flew in front of him and hit him in the face. So he got hit in the face by a goose at 60 miles an hour. And it's a whole thing. So he was making a diorama of that incident. And in order to understand Fabio a bit better, he thought maybe he should model for the cover of some erotic novels. And when he was turned down by every publisher he talked to because he doesn't look like a model, he decided screw it and wrote his own erotic novel and recorded it as an audiobook, which I believe is free on Spotify. The first chapter is free on his YouTube channel. I've not listened to it. One day, when I've got the time. But his videos are incredible. The things he chooses to make dioramas of are really out there, really weird. Yeah, yeah. All right. These rims are looking pretty good. It may even take a third coat on here, and that's fine. I don't mind that. You know, it's there's worse ways to spend an evening. When I'm done here, I got my last workout for a couple days, because during my normal workout window tomorrow, I will be at Monster Trucks, and during my workout window on Saturday, I will be in Maine at Limitless Wrestling. So I get a couple days off from the gym, which is nice, but I'm finishing strong. I got shoulders and abs tonight, which is one of my most involved workouts. That's why I decided to stream a little bit early here, so that I wouldn't be up until some insane hour trying to finish my workout. You know, that's one of the things about working out shoulders. The shoulder is made of 3 heads. 4 when you count your traps. So you have 2 muscle groups in the shoulders. You have your traps and you have your deltoids. In the deltoids, you have a front deltoid, you have a rear deltoid, and you have a side deltoid on each arm. And each of them require different types of lifts to work. There's not really a great way to work all of them at the same time. And it's hard to lift heavy because they are small muscles. They're not meant to lift heavy. So, you know, the way to do shoulders, generally speaking, is lighter lifts with more reps, which means it is a long workout. It takes time because you got to sit there repping it out, getting that pump. And my shoulders are, not to toot my own horn, some of my better features when it comes to my physique. So it's something I try not to skimp on. You know, don't bite the hand that feeds and what have you. Yeah, I do think we may end up doing a third coat on the inside of these tires. It's you know, that light colors on a dark surface is always a little tricky. I was describing this project to one of my wrestling friends and telling them all the various steps that go in it and how I'm probably going to stream most of it. And they're not like a person who does this kind of stuff. And their reaction was sort of like, "Oh, are you getting paid to make that?" I said, "No, I'm making it. So it's a treat for one of my viewers and a cool project to work on." And they kind of said like, "Wow, you're putting a lot of work into it for something you're not getting paid for." And I had to explain to them the whole reason I started making Perry toys to begin with was because my feeling was it was something I'd have done anyway. Once I got that 3D printer for Christmas a few years back, I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to make toys now." I'd be making them for me, let alone for the merch table or for others. I'd be making them anyway. So now I get videos out of it. I get a little community building. I get to sell them and make a little money there. So that's sort of where my head goes to with it, and it's kind of the perfect piece of merch for me to make and sell because again, I'd have been doing it anyway. It's cool. It's exactly the type of nerdiness that I would happily take part in. I've I've got glitter from that paint on my flannel shirt here. Oh, that's gonna bug me. Ah, jeez. What a problem to have. Where'd all this glitter come from? Well, I was painting a monster truck. Normal stuff. Is that not what other people are doing with their Thursday night? Are they not painting monster truck toys? There was a time where on a Thursday night I'd have been wrestling, but the company that I used to work for on Thursday nights has I don't like to speak ill of anyone publicly, but they've made some very public decisions that I find a little abhorrent. So I'm not really dying to work for them these days. So I've not been back in over a year now. Last time I wrestled there was January last year, and it was early January, so they also only seem to be interested in booking me and Rip as a tag team, and we don't really team that much these days. We both sort of got our own stuff going on. All right, yeah, that's looking pretty good. I am going to get into all this with some black paint and just tighten up the edges, but you can see those PVV letters are nice and dark now. Like if you look at this one in particular, looking really clear. I'm going to get in and kind of clean that out with some black on another pass. Yeah, they've done some weird things, stuff that's pretty well known, stuff that's very public. And a lot of my friends do still work there because everyone has their own sort of like, what's the line, what's your understanding of what went on, and it's possible they know something I don't. But they made some choices that I thought were pretty disrespectful to certain groups of people and to certain individuals that I know. And yeah, just decided I'd step away for a bit. I don't judge them and think there's anything wrong with them. Things change over time, and like I say, it's possible I just don't know all the details myself. That's a distinct possibility. But for now, just keeping my distance. Not desperate for a Thursday night booking all the time, and You know, they're going to be fine without me. So, you know, if it comes up, if you know, if I start to feel differently about them and some of what they've said and done, or if they you know, change a bit, maybe I'll be back there. Who knows? But you know, for right now, I don't particularly need them, and they don't particularly need me. But like I say, a lot of my friends are still there, so you know, I don't wish anything ill toward that company because I want my friends to do well. I want them to all succeed, and that might mean hoping that a company I don't work for draws really well. In fact, there's a company here in Western Mass that runs even in the same building as Grind. And there was a time in wrestling when that would have made you enemies. You know, oh, you're running in my territory, you're the competition. I don't really see it that way. It's a company I used to work for back in the day. Hell, I was their heavyweight champion. And I got nothing but love for them. I hope they do really well, you know. No sense no sense having grudges, you know. They've done nothing wrong to me. And they certainly, you know, Grind isn't hurt by it. Grind draws just great in their building, so you know, I don't think anyone's wronging anyone. But boy, there was a time in wrestling when that stuff was intense. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this lettering's going to work nice. How many world championships have I won? Well, world championships is a tricky title to claim. Um, if by world champion you just mean I was like the main champion for a company, like the primary champion, a few. I'd have to try to think on which ones they were. This is actually a problem that I encountered recently. Facebook changed the layout and information on certain types of pages, and I had been using the championships and accomplishments part of my Perry Von Vicious page because it's set up as an athlete. I've been using that to track my championships over the years, and they recently got rid of that and just deleted the info that I had there. So I don't necessarily know that I know. As far as like, you know, again, being the primary champion of a company, I was the Pioneer Valley Professional Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. I was the Main Premier Heavyweight Champion. Main Premier Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. I was I don't even know what the company was called anymore. There was a company that was called The Way Wrestling Was, TW3. I was their inaugural heavyweight champion. Never got to defend it. I moved away to California. So they just moved on, which I get. That's fine. They couldn't afford to fly me back. You know, life happens. I've held a lot of mid-card titles, you know, something equivalent to an intercontinental title, but on the indies. I've held a lot of those. I was the All Pro Wrestling Internet Champion. I was I think it was called PWD. I don't even remember what it stands for, but it was in Reno, Nevada. I was their Silver State Champion. I was I held the mid-card title for a company called Devil Mountain Wrestling. I've held tag team championships in a lot of places. And then I was the 2011 All Pro Wrestling Young Lions Cup champion. Yeah, I've had a lot of different championships over the years, but 17 years of doing it, that'll happen. You know, it's I I don't necessarily think of it as being like a big accomplishment for me because, it's 17 years. It's bound to happen. All right, let's get a look here, see how this chassis is drying. Yeah, I think he's looking about done. That's about all the detail we're going to get on him. So that chassis looks fantastic. Very happy with that. Now I'm going to get a little bit of some flat black paint in a clean cup here. I flew through cups on this stream. Boy, oh boy, what a mess. I'm going to get some flat black here, and I'm going to very carefully go around these letters just to clean up how it looks. Just to clean it all up there. There we go. In fact, I wonder, do I have... I used to keep some foam around that I would use for sort of like a stamping technique, and I wonder if I still have any of that. I would have kept it with the brushes. Because I don't necessarily want to use a brush for this. I might be able to get away with using a very thin piece of paper towel. I think that's going to be my method. We'll test it out. If it doesn't work well, I will poke around for some of the foam. Let's grab one of these brushes. There we go. All right. Yeah. The tricky thing about being asked how many world championships have you won? There's a lot of indie companies will call their main title a world championship, but it's never been defended outside of that little town that they're in. So I don't know. That's not really a world championship when you think about it. All right. Let's get a little blob of the black out here. Just out on my paper here. Set that aside. And now I'm going to take some of this paper towel. Just get it tightly around the end of my finger, and we're just going to dab. And then I'm going to sort of do the same motion here, just a straight ahead dab with this paint. Just trying to cover up some of these spots. Just clean up these letters just a little. There we go. PVV. Looks pretty good. It's not going to be perfect, but life ain't perfect, you know? Yeah. PVV. It's looking pretty good. This little technique is doing the trick. Now, if you were to ask me how many states in this country I've been a champion, that I could probably answer. I want to say Nevada, California, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine. That might be it. Rhode Island. This has to be my longest stream. Not even close. I'm looking now. I'm at an hour 49. And I've gone over 2 hours before. In fact, last night, the stream last night playing Monster Jam was over 2 hours. This one's just a little more dull because I'm just painting. Oh yeah. That looks really clean, those letters. Looking really nice. I'm going to grab my brush real quick and just hit a couple little detail bits here. I don't want much paint on here at all. There's just a couple little spots where I want to make sure I knock the white color back just a little. You know, this is the perfectionist in me coming out, where something that's probably good enough is not really good enough to me. But that's one of the cool things about like making your own toys and doing these little projects. Especially like, you know, you're not a client, Bobby. You're just a friend that I'm making this for. Which means I can be as exact or as inexact as I like. You know, if I wanted to stop a little bit shy of some of the detail I'm trying to get, you wouldn't mind. You'd be happy with it. But, you know, so it ends up being up to me. It becomes a fun thing to work on. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, right now I'm just going back and getting the lines around these letters nice and crisp. You know, sort of the way the BKTs read on those tires, because you want to make sure the sponsor's visible. All right, I think that's going to do it on those tires. Let's get a nice shot for the camera there. Yeah, the fine detail of just how exact those are is, it looks a little bit blurry on the screen. But yeah, there you go. You can see that one, that PVV. That's looking good. Sponsor slash chassis manufacturer. Yeah, it's I am the plastic toy equivalent of Dan Patrick of Samson, who is the P and PEI, who make all the chassis for Monster Jam. All right, I do want that to dry up before I glue these together. We're at 153. I'm going to give this just a minute in front of the space heater, because it will only take a minute. We're going to take a look at how that shelf came out. Yeah. All right. Everything on there's got that. I think it's reading on camera. Yeah, just a little bit of a metallic sheen on everything, but we got a few different colors on there. I think that looks great. Yeah, that looks really nice. It's just dry enough that I feel okay sticking it in this, sticking it in here so we can see how it's going to look as a shelf. Yeah, you can sort of see it now. This, it'll be like this with the trucks going across it. I have some clear acrylic sheets so I can cut a little front to it. It'll be like a shadow box so that everything will stay dust free. Absolutely love how that works. I'm going to do the painting of the rest of these off camera, or probably take a time lapse of it maybe on Sunday, because I am doing a full-length YouTube video on the making of this. You'll see in here there's a little channel that runs up and down this side and on this side and along the base here. See if I can get that in the light. Yeah, that little channel matches this slot here. and that's going to be where the piece of clear acrylic is going to slide in, so that I can slide it in, slide it out. And then in the back, there's a little channel here. There we go. Now we're on camera. A little channel here, so I can slide in a background. So that's going to be pretty cool when that's done. I've got a good feeling about that. All right, set that out of the way. And I think that chassis ought to be dry enough. We can do some assembly here. Yeah, looking good. All right, the greens are popping. The PVVs are legible. Yeah. Now I could do a clear coat on these. I don't like to do it on the chassis generally, because it can get into where the axles meet the rest of it, and it can make it roll a little funny. So I tend to not do that. I could also do one on this portion, but this part's going to be protected inside of the car. And this part, the silvers, I find when you put a clear coat on them, it kind of ruins the metallic look a little bit. So I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm just going to advise that you be very careful with it. Don't chip any paint away. And if you do, easy enough to fix. These little jars of paint are like 88 cents at Walmart. Some of them you can get at Dollar Tree, the $1.25 there. So, you know, easy enough to touch it up. The brushes I get at Dollar Tree, everything's easily fixed. So I think we wanna glue this up. I think that's what we want to do now. So I have some super glue here. I also have some kicker. I'm not going to use the kicker. I do generally like to use Instaset with my super glues. I find that it creates a slightly stronger bond, and I'm impatient. This makes it set incredibly quickly. But the problem is, if I don't line this up exactly how I want it, if that kicker's on there, however it lands, that's where it's staying. It ain't moving again. So I want to be careful about how I do this. So the first step is going to be getting this lined up on here, which can be a little bit tricky. Maybe I want to use the truck for it. Yeah, that's what I want to do. All right, so I'm going to lay down a little bit of glue here. I'm using the thicker glue here rather than the thinner glue. I like it to have just a little bit of body. And it's not going to take much. We just give a thin smearing kind of all around, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and put the car on here, put the body on, because that's going to help me line this up. Those pegs are going to serve to get this where it needs to be. And then I'm just going to remove the body while it's, yeah, I'll leave it in. It's wanting to slide around. So I'm going to leave that in, and that's going to need to dry just like that. I wonder if I can get a clamp in there, hold it nice and tight. I bet I can. Give it just a second to set up a little. I'm going to grab a couple little clamps. These are Dollar Tree clamps. They got a little bit of silicone on the end that'll keep it from dinging anything up, although it is just plastic to plastic. All right, I think that's probably held in place enough that I can lift this up without it moving. Yeah, there we go. And I am going to throw just a couple little clamps to kind of squeeze it in place, make sure it doesn't move, get a good firm seal there. And then after that, we're going to glue this body in place. Now, the reason I glue the body, because it could just sit there and you could take it off and look at it and stuff. I don't recommend that generally, because the body actually helps everything sit. Oh, I'm going to clean this off a little. The body helps everything sit nice and square the way that you want it. Yeah, if I clean these windows a little, be able to see inside a bit better. This Avenger came from a busted toy that was gifted to me by Alan Nadu. If anybody watching the stream knows Alan, he's often at Blitzkrieg and at grind shows, and You'll see him all over wrestling Twitter and wrestling Blue Sky, Wrestle Sky. He's big in those areas. He's a great supporter and a great fan, and gifted me a giant box of busted up Monster Jam toys. And this sort of classic Avenger body was in there already removed, not really attached to anything anymore. So kind of perfect for this. I do have some others that I had considered working with previously. I have the orange Avenger and the silver. I had considered those as well, but I think I'm just going to figure those out another time and find another version for those. Hey, Herobotic made it. Coming in hot right at the end of the stream. All right, I'm going to take these clamps off of here because that should be good. Super glue is pretty quick. Yeah, that's looking nice. Oh, I am into that. So this is that chassis we were designing the other day. Just stopping in since I missed the one last night. Can't wait for the show tomorrow. I can't wait either. This is that chassis I was designing the other day. Really excited. Thanks. Let's see what other busted up trucks did he give me? Oh, so many. I mean, so many. It's a huge box. There's probably 60 or 70 of them. Yeah, I've honestly only kind of gone through them at this point, and I've had them for like 2 years. It's a lot of them. All right, we're gonna get this guy glued on here, and there's a little bit. This one takes a little bit of being careful because I don't want to press down too hard because it will bottom out on his head, and I don't want that. I just want that head visible inside there. I want that driver's head to be seen through the window. So I got to get this kind of just right. So what I'm going to do for now is these parts are kind of where it sits, these two tabs and these two little posts. So I'm going to get some glue on those, and those are going to be most of what holds this in place. Herobotic, is the kiddo excited for tomorrow? Or is it just us excited? I'm fine with it either way. I'm just curious. Like I can remember being your kiddo's age. It was hard to be excited for some things because my concept of time was not very good. All right, we got that there, we got that there, we got that there. Nice. All right, and I'm just gonna sink it in till it's right about there, nice and even. Oh, that looks fantastic. Oh, I am exceedingly pleased with this. All right. Set that there, and I'm just gonna let it let it glue. He is excited. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I could force this upon your child. When I was a kid, my dad hated taking us to monster trucks. It was my dad's an environmentalist and doesn't like how wasteful they were, didn't like that they were destroying old cars when the materials could be used for other things, didn't like how much fuel they used, didn't like the noise. He loved the engineering and that it got me into engineering and got me into building stuff. He really liked that part of it. So he was always just supportive enough. He'd buy me the toys, he'd build models with me, he'd build RC trucks with me, he'd take me to the shows, but he really didn't like it. And I always knew that, and I appreciated that he was willing to suffer it for me. So I'm glad I could force you to suffer the same thing with your kid, Herobotic. All right, I was hoping to get to painting some of the PVV trucks that go on these chassis. Those are going to have to wait for another day. The shelf, the test shelf that we painted for the Monster Jam minis is looking fantastic with the little crush cars, all different colors, all metallic and shimmery. And that does fit really nicely into our little shadow box. That's going to look really good once I get the other shelves painted up and get the trucks in there. I'm really thrilled with that. Let's see, how's this drying up? I know this stuff can take a little bit. Now, what's interesting about blowing on super glue to get it to cure, not everyone knows, is that it actually is effective. It's not just blowing. It's not like when you blow on something that's hot and you want to cool, or something that's wet and you want it to dry. The carbon dioxide that you naturally expel after you take in oxygen, carbon dioxide does actually help cyanoacrylate glue, Ca glue, super glue, to cure faster. So it is a natural curing agent, and I believe we're glued in. So there it is. This is our finished Avenger with see if we can get the angle there. Little Jimmy Kohler in there driving away. We got the tires all done up with the PVV. We got that engine. You can see it in the front. You can see just underneath the grill. You can see the engine in there. Oh, it is looking good. Looking really good. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the other camera view here. This is looking fantastic. I think it looks better on this camera. Look at that. Outstanding. Yeah, I am exceedingly happy with that. I'm gonna take some glamour shots of this for the old Instagram, and wow, yeah, you can see it on the little camera right there. Look at it. Yeah, I'm gonna get some shots of that so I can throw it up on the Instagram, use it for the video on YouTube. That came out great. When will I be shipping it? I'm going to try to film everything I need with it for the finished video on the build on Sunday. I'm going to try to get the last clips I need, possibly tomorrow morning. And I'm aiming to ship this out on Monday. Along with, you have a figure from Joey Nails. And in fact, that box right there has your Joey Nails figure. It'll have your Avenger, and it will have the one other surprise I'm sending you. I'm very excited. It's something I think everyone should have in their collection. But for now, that is going to be it for this rare Thursday night Perry. I will be back on Monday. Inauguration day, so I'm going to be playing a little bit of some Mickey's Castle of Illusion on Monday. A great distraction on a crappy day. Looking forward to that. But for now, I'm going to take off. I got to do shoulders and abs, and I will catch you all Monday at 9 p.m. Thank you for hanging out.